Thursday, August 12th. Like to call the regular session. It's a regular session in an irregular place. We come here once a year for tradition. I would remind everyone the acoustics in this room are not the best, so we'll do our best to use our outdoor voices inside. Having said that, will the clerk please call the roll?
Michael Earden.
Present.
Herbert Earden.
Present.
Edward Gilson.
Here.
David Holst.
Here.
Roy Rehal has been excused. John Martino.
Here.
Bradley Judell has been excused. Paul House.
Here.
James Weatherup.
Here.
Mary Ellen Chesbrough.
Here.
Linda Lockwood. Here. Richard Klein.
Present.
Patrick Twist has been excused. Stephen Walpole has been excused. Nathan Emmons.
Here.
Thomas Drum has been excused. Lori Magano.
Here.
Robert Wilmot has been excused. Marie Shaw.
Here.
Tim Stahl.
Here.
Terry Wilbur.
Here.
James Karasik.
Here.
Morris Cervello.
Here.
Mark Greco.
Here.
Ralph Stacy Jr.
Here.
That's 19 present and 6 excused, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Lead us in the invocation.
We come together today representing our communities at the second seat of Oswego County, honored by the faith placed in us and deeply humbled by the challenges ahead. Let us be thankful for the gift of each day in the company of good and decent people, and for the examples of courage and dedication they live out each day. Amen.
Please follow me in the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Quickly, before we get started, for those of you unfamiliar with our format, there's 2 opportunities to speak here. First one will be on speakers on resolutions of the day. There is a sign-up sheet in the back. We'll get to that part. We need to be calling on you. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Public comment will be at the end of the meeting. Same story. Sign up in the back, and we'll get to everybody 5 minutes. So, all right. Having said that, everyone had a chance to look at the minutes of the county legislature's meeting from July 15th. Mr. Chairman. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving now, we had a recognition just earlier for retirement. Karen Myers, 30 years. She retired, so happy she ran out the door. Very good, thank you. Introduction of visitors, Legislator Gilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators and distinguished guests, visitors, I'm proud and honored to welcome this legislature back to the Oswego County Age Governance part of the courthouse for this session. I have a couple, along with some public, local politicians in the area. I would like to introduce some representatives of the town of Richland, Supervisor T.M. Krupke, Councilwoman Dr. Gilson, Councilman Karen Gurdon, and Councilman Alan Crusoe joining us here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports of county officials. Reports of standing committees, Legislator Karasik.
First off, I just want to comment that's 3 interviews in one room. Odds are pretty good you'll never see 3 Karasiks.
There might be more, because
So I just want to make a quick comment from the health committee that some of the schools are completing their reopening plans and just again cover the process. We have 9 different school districts. All 9 districts will make their own plan on how they're going to reopen and what they're going to do under the current conditions of the pandemic. The health department's role in this is to review those plans and to give advice. We do not sign off on them. We are not the implementer of them, which potentially means there is 9 districts, there could be 9 different plans in this county. Or we may have several school districts that have decided they're all going to do the same thing. and that's okay too. But I just wanted to bring the legislative body up to date on that we are really in a role of review and advise. We're not in the role of signing off the plans and implementing them. That is up to each individual school district. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Good information. Reports of special committees. Thank you. Moving on to public speakers on resolutions of the day. Mr. Wilbur.
Yeah, we got to change some of this because some thought it was a signing sheet, someone was making it, so,
Well, I'll call on them.
yeah, they might have to.
Maybe they'll feel inspired. Yes. I would remind you or ask of you, if you are called upon to speak, that you tell us which resolution that you're referring to and speaking on. I would also ask you to speak directly. You'll be at the podium, but this is not an area for debate. This is to hear your views on it, and everybody's going to get equal time. You have 5 minutes. First, we have Rebecca Shearer.
I'm right here. I do have to speak, but I'm not sure if I spoke on, if I'm speaking on the subject at hand. I'm speaking about the fact that you guys have power and to deal with the mandates locally here. So is that something that I can?
That would be public comment period.
Okay,
This is
yeah.
just for resolutions that would be.
Okay, because it's going to talk about that and as well as the school, what you just brought up as well, the schools. And
Yeah, you'll have time. We'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Valerie Scoville.
Over here. No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Crossed out. What's that? Crossed out. Is it Follows? Crystal Fellows? Same thing? Crossed out? Well, that I understand then is all, no speakers on resolutions of the day. All right, thank you. Moving on now, resolutions and motions. Government Courts and Consumer Affairs Committee. Legislator is different than normal. That's why Legislator Holtz.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing and approving a settlement agreement in connection with the matter of Oswego County versus Purdue Pharma et al.
Okay, this is where J&J is offered to settle the county of Oswego claims against it, paying a sum of, the worst case scenario is $386,000 under AG, and the best is $903,000. So with the two words, our attorneys wants to go ahead with the settlement.
Right. Understood. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Public Safety Committee resolutions. Forgive me, sir, there are some that have blocked.
Mr. Chairman, I would offer the motion to move PS 1 through 4 as blocked by consent for adoption.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Human Services Committee. Legislator Stahl, you also have some block?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put the motion, or make a motion to move HS 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 as a block.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a resolution HS 2.
Yes, sir. Clerk, please read the heading.
Resolution authorizing reclassification of 5 positions in the Department of Social Services.
All right, thank you. What this is for is that we've had some trouble filling some positions due to there not being enough interest in the list that we fill positions from. And so because of that, Human Services Department Commission is looking to change a few of the titles from the clerk position to typist position. Ultimately, because of the way the reimbursements and the wages are set up, it will be a very small local share cost, under $1,000 to do so. They believe that they would be able to fill those positions quicker because of the reclassification. They'll still be able to get the same work, it's just by using the right titles.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Shaw.
I just wonder why this was not done through the budget process. We continue to do this. It's concerning.
We did have a commissioner here who could address it, but I believe it would be just a flexibility and try to retain some employees and things. But Commissioner Albert.
We have most of them are vacant right now, so before we get people seated in there, and then have to, it's very convoluted, we have to change the clerk typist, the roles. We would basically have to do them in order to do so at budget time.
Any other?
Just feel better planning is required.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 18 in favor, 1 opposed, and 6 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Economic Development Planning Committee. Resolutions by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move this resolution. I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the County of Oswego to apply to New York State Home and Community Renewal Housing Trust Fund Corporation, Office of Community Renewal for the New York State Community Development Block Grant Program, COVID Care Act 21, for various activities to assist communities by providing decent housing and suitable living environments.
Thank you. We saw this come up last month as part of a public hearing. This gives us the authority to apply for just over about $1 million worth of grant funding through the CARES Act COVID funds.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP2 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this forward and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the adoption and implementation of the Oswego County Coordinated Transportation Plan for Mobility Services.
And I'd like to turn the floor, if I could, to the chairman of our transportation committee, Mary Ellen Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. This is very exciting. This is a lot of work that has been gone into developing this transportation plan. And this plan is all about making transportation for everyone in Oswego County accessible and inexpensive. And this plan was put together not by somebody sitting at a desk and crunching numbers and getting the information. This was done by going to non-for-profit organizations. It was ridership, riding along with the buses, finding out what the problem is, meeting with people, getting the data, not only finding out how many homes are in Oswego County, but how many homes don't have cars. So we need to know all of this so people can get to work, people can get to the doctor, people can get to, even during evacuations. This plan covers everything. And this implementation of it, once we approve it, it goes to DOT. That opens the door for us to get so much funding to be able to put into place all of these strategies and plans that we've been working on. So I'm very excited about this, and I look forward to this legislature passing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And I would also add, if you did have an individual question, Legislator Chesbro has graciously agreed to stick around afterwards.
Absolutely.
Answer some
Love
questions. Thank you. One moment. Okay, cool. Any other discussion besides these two people? All those in favor? Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP3 by Legislator Snow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, community development, tourism, and planning department.
All right, we'll take this opportunity to do a little plug in for our community development office. We run a number of grant years, first-time homebuyer programs, sometimes rehab programs, things that will grant money directly to individuals for work done. There is often a repayment schedule if you were to sell that house that you would now have prepared under the grant monies. If so, a certain amount of that money would need to be paid back. This is one of those circumstances. So somebody who were able to help and then selling the house within that repayment period, a certain portion of that money comes back in and be reused again. We're just accepting that money.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Health Committee, Legislator Karasik.
Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators, I offer the following resolution for your consideration.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification to increase authorization level of capital project number 134, Silk Road Action.
So, as many of you are aware, years ago we inherited the Silk Road site. At one time it was a full dump, actually since the town of Bonley, and that has to be monitored. We went from a point of a lot of methane to recently the test to come back, it's showing it increasing. I would anticipate in a few years that hopefully this monitoring will end up going away from us. This money is recharging the capital development project because the current program coming up is $139,000. I think there's $15,000 in it. 15,000 in that fund right now?
When we're done.
When you're done. Okay, so we need to refill that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HE2 by Legislator Karasik.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution for your consideration.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification for COVID-19 expenses.
So this is just recharging the account so that we have the funds available to pay some bills and of course going forward, anticipation through the end of the year to see that is reality. Is that correct?
What this does is move the COVID money into an account that allows the health department to claim Article 6 reimbursements to the max, because we have to max that out before we can claim anything up. And it's got, and the state wants us to show this money in the health department's budget.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Infrastructure, Facilities, and Technology, Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing a feasibility study, Sandy Island Beach State Park, alternate bridge location, County Route 15, Reading.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a study to look at the feasibility of putting this bridge back to where it was versus where the state would like it to go. If we follow the state's plan on this, we could be running into some situations of taking personal property, and quite honestly, we believe that there could be a better way to do this. It's been hashed around quite a bit. So if we do this feasibility study, I believe that we will be able to work with the state and get it to where the bridge should be instead of where they want to put it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor and 6 excused.
Thank you. Now, there is no Finance Personnel Committee resolutions. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Correct. All right. Now, unfinished business. Moving to miscellaneous business. Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. All right, now, these people that had signed up before, would be your opportunity to speak on issues that are not part of this resolution. So Mr. Wilbur is bringing forward a list. Called on the people that may have signed up in the wrong spot or just thought it was an attendance sheet. So what we'll do is we'll go through this public speaker list first. I would remind you that you have 5 minutes and you will be at the podium, but you're addressing basically the front of the room. We're going to do this nice and polite, which I have no reason to believe we wouldn't. So first off, Victoria Willoughby. Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. I've spoken to this legislature before, and I'd like to start the same way, with a prayer. May the loving light and grace of God shine through your hearts to show you the truth of your magnificence, because you sit in seats of power. And from that magnificence, I call you once again to your oath. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody sitting here took an oath to uphold all of our constitutional rights, which are not under suspension even in an emergency, which at this point has not been proven. There are war crimes being committed against the populace and against the children. A mask is a medical device. To be forced to use it under any circumstances is a war crime. Anyone can wear a mask that chooses to. There's a vaccine available. Anyone can get it who chooses to. If you believe in the pledge, if you believe in the plaque, in God we trust, also trust your immune system. It was given to you by God. Altering it, anybody ever hear it's not nice to fool Mother Nature? It doesn't work. Not for wellness, not for health. And it is clear from everything that has gone on for more than the past year that none of this is about health. It's about pushing an agenda. It's about tying our hands. It's about pitting us against each other. Are we one nation indivisible? Are we people who each want to have our rights? Which one of you wants to be told you can't have your children with you because you are a menace? Because they say so, with something that they can't prove. If anyone has any evidence, which the CDC has not supplied, and by the way, they own 8 patents for vaccinations. They're a vaccine company. Our friends, the FDA, has never been here for our benefit. We look to them like they are the dictators. Nobody elected them into government, but you were elected by the people that chose you to represent them. If you do not stand up and cease and desist now at these war crimes that are being committed against us, you are violating the Nuremberg Code with your compliance, with your silence, with your allowing people from up above to say, this is what you do or else, threatening your job, threatening your well-being, threatening your place, your own business, threatening your family, separating families. It doesn't take any kind of intelligence whatsoever. 3-year-olds know this is wrong. I'm standing here to tell you it's time to do your job, what you actually did, swore an oath to do. What does this pledge mean? If you're not pledging allegiance to your countrymen, what does that flag mean without your countrymen? What does it mean without your family? The next step is for them to tell you, you can't have your children because you didn't do as we said. You didn't roll up your sleeve. You didn't cover your voice. This voice is not getting shut up because you know what? God speaks through my heart. And if God isn't speaking through your heart, then you may be willing to cover that up. But if you do, know that you have given away your rights to have any jurisdiction over anyone because you've given up your own voice. Stand. Take a stand for the children, for the child and every last one of us who has been told what to do, who's been separated from their loved ones. This is an abomination, and if you don't see that, this is all a fraud. So are you going to side with the higher-ups who don't care about you, or are you going to make yourselves indispensable to the people who showed up today and everyone else in this county? Because this is who you swore an oath to. Not to a corporation that's now defunct. not to be Americans, because this was the Republic of the United States until that was taken. The corporation is defunct. They're not your bosses anymore. Stand up and be your own boss, or be silent, because I will not. I will stand for these children. If you don't deserve the seats you sit in. I have the utmost respect for all of you. Show me you deserve it. Have a good day.
Now we have Bud Connor. I'd also remind you, sir, to leave 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. I'm actually Vicky's partner. She's a tough act to follow. But fortunately for me, I'm an entertainer. So I like to entertain people. I'm in front of you guys. I got a captive audience. Now, a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, this guy's just going to waste my time. Now, if you are thinking that, I've already accomplished my goal. Because that's what I want you to do. I want you to think. I want you to think about what's going on in the world today. Because what's going on in the world today does not look like what it's supposed to be. How many people do you think that the masks actually work? I mean, you know, I'm not an animal. I'm not a monster. I just got told by my niece that it's because of me, because I don't wear a mask, that her child has to sit in a classroom and wear a mask. Now tell me, how is that possible? When I'm standing here in front of you, the people who are being told to tell us to wear masks, that I don't want to. I will not wear a mask. My voice will not be silenced. We are American people. We are living souls. We are not sheep. We are not to be ruled over upon. We are to be guided. The legislation, our government was not put there to govern us. It was there to guide us. If you want to put it in simple terms, you guys are supposed to be making the coffee and making sure everything's running smooth. That's it. If everything's running smooth, you can go home, your job is done. You don't have to be a lifelong politician. These politicians, in the past, before this COVID stuff started, I didn't care about politics because it's a good old boys network. You know, if you're in it, you're part of it, and I don't want nothing to do with you because you're not affecting me. But now all of a sudden you told me I can't go to where I want to go unless I put this mask over my face. But I'm not sick. It doesn't matter. You might be, but we won't go there because I'll go on all over the place. The main thing here is now I see what politics really is, and politics only control. It's left wing, right wing. It's the same bird, people. It's the exact same bird. And all you guys want to do is what's right for us? No. What you want to do is what's right for your pockets, and what's right for your corporations, and what's right for everybody. Don't you see, oh, the government's not mandating our masks, but we can't go into a restaurant unless we put a mask on. Okay, just don't go into that restaurant, people, then we'll be okay. But I'm not sure of my time. Am I down for 5 yet?
I'll give you a friendly reminder.
Okay, but because I'm just rambling here on now, but I'm speaking from my heart. I don't have a speech in front of me. I was going to read, like the first time I was going to read the Nuremberg Code, but something has come to the top of my mind because I was reading an article, and the article itself didn't resonate with me, but the opening line did. It said that human beings are social animals. We need to be social. We need to. Our survival depends on the social connections, the genuine social connections that we make throughout our lifetime. And what you guys want to do is put masks on these little children when they're in their most developing stages. You want to put fear in their hearts. You want to put fear in their souls. And that's not what it's all about. I remember when I was a kid, I was joyous. When I was 5 years old, I failed rest period, okay? You know, there was no holding me back, and there still isn't. And I don't want any of that to hold. I don't want to hold our children back. I don't want them to be slaves. I don't want them to be in fear for all of their lives. You start them out in fear, they're going to live in fear. I don't live in fear. I told you that one before, because you know what fear is about. I know fear. Fear is, fear. What's fear? I skydive, right? I base jump. I've been married. I know what fear is. This isn't it. This is not it. And that's my joke for today, guys. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you for time. And please take my suggestion and think. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judy Swankin.
I pass.
Pass. Sharon Hanley.
I pass.
Pass.
I agree with everything he said. You cannot say that.
You're just supposed to say ditto.
Be good.
Steve Isabel. You know, I'm going to do it in 5 minutes just to be fair for her.
Okay.
Thank you.
She pretty much hit the nail on the head. I don't know if I have a whole lot to say after all that, but as far as what she was saying about the corporation, she is absolutely right. That is called the Act of 1871. Most people don't realize that we won the war, but really we didn't win the war. The country was broke and had to borrow the money. Who did they go to? England, the central bank. Part of the deal? Had to be a corporation, no longer a republic. The last president of the United States under the republic was the 18th president. She is absolutely correct about that. We have been basically enslaved by the central bank ever since. The last time the fiat currency entered this country was 1913, the year after the Titanic sunk, and that's a whole other story all on its own. I don't think most people realize that, but yes, we are enslaved by the central bank. All this that's happening in our country, it's almost so extreme it doesn't even seem real. Ultimately, it may not be real, but we're here and we have to fight back against this. Basically living in tyranny. As far as the masks, strongly against it. My daughter's here and she's going to speak as well. We have loads and loads of information on this mask and the mandate and whatnot, and there's a lot more science that says that the mask is bad than it is good. So the average public, not really interested in doing research. I guess that's why they're not aware of what's really going on. So I'm going to yield some time to her, I guess, and let her further this discussion. So, but I thank you for listening, and I'm sure that most people in this room are here because we probably pretty much agree on most of this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Samantha Isabel.
Hello. So I'm here, I agree with everybody that's already spoke. I don't feel our kids should be wearing a mask, and I'm here to get it on the record and speak out and hopefully get other people to speak out when the time comes, because it's coming. I've already heard I'm sure the state's going to be mandating it soon, that everybody's going to have to wear a mask again. I have lots of research, John Hopkins study, 0 healthy kids have died from COVID. I have that information in here. I have bacteria that's been found on these masks that our kids are breathing in and out 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Bacteria that causes pneumonia. I have a whole list. If anybody's interested, reach out to me, Samantha Isabel on Facebook. I have an email. I can email all this information. I'd also like to know why we don't have the statistics on how many kids in Oswego County have died from 18 and under. We've called the the Oswego County Health Department, haven't gotten an answer. All this should be public information. And definitely, if they're going to make recommendations to our schools, where are they basing their recommendations if they can't even provide us this data? I have, the flu statistics. More kids have died from the flu than COVID. Why are we masking our kids? We should have choice. This should be a choice. I understand some kids are unhealthy, so mask. But those of us that don't want to mask, no. It should be a choice. I'm also going to be attending tonight's APW Board of Education meeting, going over the same thing. So I hope if anybody's in APW, you'll join us tonight, 6 o'clock, APW. And yeah, that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Shannon Robinson?
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today, for listening to us. Greatly appreciate it. I've been a member of Oswego County since I was 5 years old. My parents since a lot longer than that. My grandparents as well. Our family grew up here. My parents were in the Army, so I was born out of state at the time, but then when Dad got out of the military, we came back home. My children, I have 5, ages from 22 years old to almost 2 years old. He'll actually be 2 next month. I can't even imagine putting a mask on his little face. And I'm sorry if I get a little emotional about this. I don't like seeing my older children having to wear a mask either. Plasky, our local school, just released their letter today stating that all students K through 12 will be returning with masks required. I know that every school is being allowed to decide this for themselves, I understand. I just ask you to please consider adding your voice to ours and helping to eliminate this. The social distancing, the masks in schools with the children who are shown to be the lowest risk age group. I've done some research. Again, I don't have all the answers. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional. I've talked to some medical professionals. I don't see the research on the scientific evidence that masks are useful, that they do prevent the transmission. I do feel that they're harmful for our children to breathe in and out. I know when I wear them, they are harmful to me. I have a very strong adverse reaction to wearing them for an extended period of time. Some people do, some people don't. I know I get very hot, very anxious, and I can't breathe well for a while after taking it off. So one of the things that, I've always told my children and taught them about this country is that it was a country of freedom. It was our freedom of choice. That's all I ask, is that we be brought that back into our schools. Just, if a parent wants to put a mask on their kid, fine. But if a parent doesn't want to, fine. We're being told that remote learning is not an option anymore if you don't want it. Where does that leave us? Homeschooling? What if that's not an option? I believe the Constitution says that we are supposed to provide our students with a public education. Just asking you to please consider that, and if you can add a voice to what our schools are doing, please help us to take the masks off. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Ashby? We have Bob and Donna Phillips. You want individual time? Dual event? Okay. Donna Phillips. You have 5 minutes.
I'd like to thank everyone for your time and your consideration. And this is not something that's in my comfort zone, definitely not up my alley, but it's very important to me. I did copy out some information at the beginning of the pandemic, March of 2020. There was an article, I think it was in Market Watch, and it said, U.S. people shouldn't wear face masks to prevent the spread of infectious illness, according to the CDC, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the U.S. Surgeon General. I'm not quite sure why this changed. I have not seen any evidence, though I've looked for evidence as to the benefit of wearing masks to stop the spread. And I did see a lot of graphs. They showed states that did not use a mask and states that did. The line of spread was about the same. It would be coming up, they'd start the mask, shoot way up, sorry, and come down and vary. So it didn't have a significant effect that way. The spread has continued, it's increased, it's waned and increased back and forth. Says we don't routinely recommend the use of face masks by the public to prevent respiratory illness, and we certainly are not recommending that at this time for this new virus. That was the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. And Health and Human Services Secretary said our advice remains as it has been, that the average American does not need an N95 mask, which I did try, and they're horrible. You cannot breathe. These are really more for healthcare providers, and also what they wear is fitted. I have a cousin who's a doctor, and she had to go for a fitting to have her mask and respirator fit to her face. The general public doesn't do that. Most of the masks are gapped on the sides and in the front, so they really aren't doing anything. Says the CDC's recommendation on face masks, even during H1N1 flu epidemic, there was no recommendation to wear face masks. He said they ended up creating a false sense of security, and most people don't wear them appropriately, he said. We want our actions to be evidence-based and appropriate to the current circumstances, which did not justify the use of face masks for people who had not been directly exposed to the virus. They did. There's another article here. I brought some extras if any of you would like some. This one was from CNN, the Surgeon General at that time in March, saying that the masks were not helpful for the general public and in stopping the spread. I think we all know that they're very difficult to wear. I have 2 daughters that have had to wear them for 8 hours or more working and had terrible headaches and all. It was very difficult for them. And from my personal experience, as far as mandated shutdowns, was very difficult. I have a brother, had a brother, who is severely mentally ill. And I believed what was happening at first, and that I needed to keep myself safe from him because I have autoimmune illness. So I told him I couldn't spend time with him. And this went on for several months. He had a group called the ACT team in our county that you're probably aware of that worked with him. They did not have the same kind of contact with him any longer. He was no longer allowed to go to the grocery store and shopping. He ended up getting into some really hardcore drugs, and my brother's gone now. My mom is in the nursing home. And because of the mandates, we could not go and visit her. She had dementia. She couldn't understand what was going on. This was not helpful. The benefits definitely did not outweigh the risk, in my opinion. It was very harmful. And my mom is gone now. I only got to be with her the last 2 days of her life. I know a lot of people suffered through this. And I have something really good to show. I went on the site for world population yesterday, and actually we have a growth rate in the world of 1.38%, which I think that is great evidence that we apparently aren't in a tragic pandemic that's causing an incredible amount of loss. The last 3 years have been the same. The death rate has been 7.52% the last 3 years, which is actually lower than the prior years. For the United States, the last 3 years, it's been a 0.31% increase in population, which is lower than the previous years, but not anything real significant. So as the others have expressed, I just ask that when you make decisions and when you advocate for those in your county, that you would just take into consideration these things that have been shared and the overall effect, and not just mandates that are put out there. I think we all know that Mr. Fauci has been caught in lies. He's admitted to lying several times, and it doesn't seem like we can have a lot of faith in some of those that are asking for these mandates on our country.
Thank you. Everybody, Paul. Just for our record, sir, what town are you from?
Town of Richland. Good afternoon.
5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm a local farmer down the road. Named Mel. That's my old boss. I strongly believe what these people have just been talking about is awesome. I'm really glad to hear it from you people. Great job. If the masks work, why the 6 feet? If the 6 feet work, why the mask? If they don't both work, why the lockdowns? If all 3 work, why rush vaccines? If the vaccines are safe, why are no liability clause? If more people die from the vaccines than the virus, why use the vaccines? If we took 2 vaccines to keep the others safe, why are we now super spreaders? Why do the vaccines have to wear a mask again? I strongly believe what these people have been talking about, having no masks, especially on our children. Why are children in the school trying to run a track meet with a mask on outside? It's unbelievable. They're passing out. It's so ridiculous that our federal government is trying to oversee your local government and what they want us to do. They're trying to take control of us as individuals in the United States. You have the power to stop it here in the local health organization. I don't know how much influence you have on the schools of the mandates of the mask, but I strongly disagree against them on our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Glenister? Moving back to the original sheet, go through it again. Rebecca Shearer. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Shearer, and I represent the countless families in Oswego County who are sick and tired of the political and medical tyranny of our communities. You have been recently given the power to get rid of the unlawful mandates within our county over our residents. Mandates that were put in not for the best interest of our county citizens, but because of the tyranny that started with politicians who lost sight of the fact that they represent us, we the people of Oswego County in the state of New York. We gave you enough time, 14 days to flatten the curve. You took our jobs away, our livelihoods, our freedom to gather in churches as well as communities. You robbed our children of their education. You took their childhood away and have made most of them fearful to play with each other, hold hands, see another child or teacher's face. You took their innocence and replaced it with fear, all for a virus with the ability to survive at over 99% and statistically 100% recovery for children. I'm here to tell you that breathing is essential. You should already know that. We were given the breath of life by God, protected under the Constitution of the United States of America. We're not asking you. We are telling you, as your constituents, to remove these masks and vaccine mandates immediately and cease and desist. As it stands, per the FDA, the approved CDC PCR test has been recalled, and the very reason we started this whole debacle was due to the positive results of the PCR test, which is why the COVID numbers are inflated in the first place. According to the New York State Times, the COVID cases are inflated because the cycloviral threshold used by many labs are much too high, yielding many more false positives. Masks. Why are we recommending masks when, despite having mask mandates in place,
cases rose anyway in the months of November, December, and January of 2020. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and Thailand have mask compliance over 90%, and they still have exploding caseloads in the recent weeks. Hawaii, with 98% mask compliance and 86% of adults having at least one vaccination dose, is seeing their highest rise in cases since the beginning of the pandemic. What makes you think that doing the same thing will get a different result? Our superintendents are waiting for leaders to lead. I should know I was speaking with one of them, well actually more of them. The idea came up for the town hall between the superintendents and the community so we can have informed consent. Our children deserve that. Legislators should make time for that and implement it soon, before they go to school. Show the children in the communities you serve that you care about their mental and physical well-being by listening to them. Give freedom of choice. Stop this fear before they succumb to it. They'll never get it out. It'll be a mental illness forever. I urge you in the future to never enact another mask mandate or seek another politician's advice. You work for us, and we deserve informed consent to every emergency order or proclamation that involves our livelihoods, our children, and our body autonomy. Will you choose communism, or will you choose the very foundation our country was built on, God and the Constitution? And I want to say something else. My husband called the health department this morning. My husband, I am the wife of a healthcare worker. He called the health department director. There are group test results from March to July to prove the unvaccinated were 22 times more likely to get infected. That's what they reported. But why can't we see the results broken down by month with percentages of vaccinated and unvaccinated? But that's not available through the health department's website. In fact, she said she had no clue. Onondaga and Tompkins County make it available month to month. We don't have that. By grouping 5 months together, it won't show the rise in numbers in those who are vaccinated. Only one tested positive in March, 75 by the end of July. Were they single digits until July? We don't know until we can see the results broken down by month. Now you guys are giving money to the health department and they have no clue what they're doing. No clue. And finally, I'm going to put a quote here by C.S. Lewis, and it says, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of the victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience." Before I end, you have the power to end this right now. Our counties have been given this right. Yesterday, Onondaga County legislators met, and one of the legislators, Mannion, mentioned that they are going to give people their freedom, but once they find a community within Onondaga County that comes up with COVID, they're going to vaccinate them all. He said that. This is tyranny, this is illegal, this is against the Constitution, and everything else that everybody else has mentioned. You serve us, we are the county. Stand up.
Thank you. Because of the scratch out, I might really butcher the names here. Would have been third on the list. Something Taylor from Hannibal. Anybody? Pass? Okay.
Totally agree.
No problem. I see Dan Krupke was signed, I think in error, but he's gone. There's a follows. Thank you. You have 5 minutes, even though you got 3 people.
Thank you. This is completely out of my comfort zone. I don't normally come up in front of adults. I teach kids. You can put me in a room full of kids and I'll be great. Adults, not so much. But I'm here for them. That's why I'm here. And seeing kids, I try to cover myself. And seeing kids at a school, mass, and I teach phys ed and health. My job is to keep kids healthy and to teach them how to be healthy for their life and how to take care of their bodies. And so I see kids exercising and doing this, and their little faces are so red, and they can't touch their neighbor because we're 12 feet apart at the beginning of school. And it just broke my heart. They can't, kindergartners, they can't run around. They couldn't do anything but stay in a little box. And it just tore me apart. And we gave them like mask breaks, but you pull them off and they're just sitting there, red faces, trying to breathe. And I didn't want to do anything strenuous because I felt bad for them. We had no choice. But here, I want a choice. My children, I want a choice for my children. You know, we speak about this is what we should do for your bodies, but here's your choice, here's your information. What am I teaching my children if I just keep putting this mask on them and tell them this is what you have to do when there's research on both sides? I want my kids to understand we have choices. If the vaccine thing comes out and they're mandating me, what if something happens to me 6 months after I got it, or even right after, or 5 years, 10 years? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to be responsible for me? Nobody is except me, but I was forced to do it if I want to keep my job. You know, what if they have to get it? Who's going to take care of them if something happens to them older? Nobody. It's me, because there's no liability with it. I want to have grandkids someday if that's what they choose. But what if we get the shot? What if they have to get the shot and then they can't? Because we don't know what happens later on in life. What happens if they're sick and their immune systems fail? I teach my children every day, my kids at school, this is what you should do for proper nutrition to help support your immune system so we can fight off colds, so we can fight off this. And if you do become sick, this is what we can do also. Okay, but if I put something in their bodies that doesn't agree, and now they're stuck with something for the rest of their life, what do I tell them then? Oh, I'm sorry, Mom, you did this to you. That's who it lies on, it's me. Because no one else is going to take that responsibility. So the masks and the vaccine mandates, please, some people want it and I'm glad. If you want it, that should be your choice. I don't choose it for me and I don't want to choose it for my children. They can make that choice when they become older and of age. But it should still be a choice. And it just scares me where we're going. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, my insurance, everything that we have, you know? And I'm afraid I'm going to have to pull them out of school if that becomes a thing. And they don't want that, they've already told me that. I'm afraid for them and for me, and I shouldn't be fearful. But I'm here for them. I'm here for myself and all the other children here. So thank you, sorry.
Thank you. We don't have a town listed, but a J. Capstraw. Yes, you have 5 minutes. What town are you from?
Central Square, your hometown. Hi, Jackie Capstraw. Didn't know what I signed up to until after I was into it. But I'm curious just to find out, how long are the people in New York, Oswego County, going to find out when you choose to take the mask off? Or when you choose to stop mandating, or the vaccine, if we do go into that direction, are you going to stop that? Because like she said, I'm going to pull my daughter out of school, Central Square. I'll home teach her senior year. She's not on board. But I'll do it because I fear for her. She works at the village pharmacy. She saw somebody get a shot. Now the lady for the last 4 months hasn't been able to walk. Who's responsible for her rent now? Who's responsible for her? Nobody. The community is going to have to stand up and do it for the community and help this poor woman. when are you guys really, really gonna help the people?
Yes.
I recognize some faces. Goodso, Yurden over here somewhere I seen them. You guys need to stand up for us, or else you're just gonna be out. And another thing, when are we gonna do an audit on our election?
Yes, yes.
It's not funny. So many people have to understand and wake up. We need an audit. We need these vaccine mandate stuff to stop. We need our freedom back, or else we're just gonna take it. Have a good day.
Okay, our last speaker listed has been scratched out so bad I can't even begin to get a name. But is there someone here that signed up that wishes to speak that hasn't spoken yet? Yes, sir.
I didn't sign, but I have an opinion now.
Well, hurry forward, you got 5 minutes. But I will need your name for the record.
Frederick R. Jensen.
You said Benson, sir?
Jensen, J-E-N-S-E-N.
J-E-N-S-E-N.
I'm not related to the stereo speakers. Hello.
Where are you from?
83 Atkinson Road, Pulaski, New York.
Last guy's good. All right, thank you, sir. You have 5 minutes.
Everything's heading in one direction right now, and I retired, and the only thing I do is mow lawn. And it grows, and I mow the lawn again, and it grows. And once in a while I talk to a couple neighbors, you know, not a hell of a lot going on in my world. When you look at the big picture, it concerns me. I didn't want to say anything today, I just came to be a neighbor. Mask, government, all I can think of is when the British took Taiwan over. They couldn't take it, so they put drugs in China for 300 years. So China's all screwed up. England got Taiwan. In 1949, just before I was born, the Chinese put everybody against the wall and they shot them. If you take drugs, sell drugs, they don't waste time in prison, they shot them. When they wanted to vote, they wanted rights, they had Tiananmen squares, they killed 10,000 people. We got too many people that are burning books in this country, and we're headed at an escalating rate. The masks is a violation. All these things are problems. But we're headed in a rate. I mean, our president doesn't understand he's going to be against a stone wall. They're going to shoot him if they come in this country. There are so many people in here now, and little things like this to scare people. And if the American people continue to stay scared, it won't be a Russian government, it'll be a Chinese. And they are very prejudiced people, and they just shoot anybody. And I probably won't live a hell of a lot longer, but I don't want any of my relatives shot. I don't think that people can understand that this mask and the rules and the government and everything is heading in a scary direction. That's all. I don't know if anybody has an opinion. I'm actually horrified. And then again, I tried to talk to a school teacher. Oh, the one that dropped me off today, my brother-in-law. And he tells me that Americans are unfair because more people are in jail. More blacks are in jail percentage-wise. I said, I don't think so. You only put people in jail that are shooting people. You know what I mean? It's not the hunter. It's the people that have the guns that are robbing your business. It's the people, hi Linda. and the people that are attacking their homes. You know, and if you have a gun and you protect yourself in the United States, now you go to jail for shooting the SOB. They have to come in and start cutting your guts up, then maybe you're allowed to shoot him and make sure he's not on the porch, drag him inside. This is what New York State Trooper said. So I don't know everything about the mask and what the county's doing, and right now, our Congress is throwing money out, and these politicians are passing bills, and we're headed for a major collapse. The whole country. There isn't going to be enough people working to pay the taxes. I mean, to worry about a mask or who's going to school, there isn't going to be a country, and the writing is on the wall. I'm absolutely horrified about it. I mean, I didn't want to say a thing today. I don't want anybody to be scared. I would like the Amish carts to have little flashing signals and normal things like this. Want to be a neighbor.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming and thank you all for your comments. We take them very seriously. I guess I would add my personal 2 cents here before we walk out the door. The meeting is adjourned. Oswego County has not mandated mask. Just keep that in mind.